a quick look at the quote dirty engine bay. You know, it looks pretty clean straight from the factory. I'm gonna cover the paper filter. You know, I could just remove it, but I'm gonna cover the paper filter with a bag. Everything else in here is good to hit with some water. So I'm going to just sort of hose it down real quickly. I don't even think I really need to agitate anything. There isn't any dirt buildup. And then I'm going to hit it with Meguiar's hyper dressing. Diluted, I think I diluted 3 to 1. So here's what we're gonna do. And if you guys are new to the channel, or new to some of my philosophies, because I'm now sort of have a different type of car, I've always done this, and never once have I had an issue. So I'm covering up the paper filter here, and it's not a big deal to get this super covered, but I'm just putting a bag over top of it just to keep it from getting too wet. Again, I'm not going to soak this down, but if this is your first time watching one of my videos or anything to do with engine bay cleaning, I'm going to hose this down with a pressure washer. I'm using, you know, roughly 1,000 psi. Yes, I know sort of the old wives' tales about you can't get water in the engine bay because you'll ruin the motor. I've done, I don't know, 50 cars and that's probably an over-exaggeration. Probably more like a dozen cars, and have sprayed sort of down the engine bay and then treated with Meguiar's hyper dressing with air, which that was one of the first things I learned about in detailing, and I continue to use it. It works really, really well. But I mean, these engines are completely sealed. I mean, as long as you don't shoot water down the intake, I mean, you're going to be fine. And that's the only issue you might have. All the electrical connections are all sealed, and I mean, the car could go. You know, you're driving through water and it's not sealed. I mean, I can see down to the ground here, so you know, water can get up on the engine, so we're safe. It's funny. There's quite a few little plastic tape tabs on here. So I'm going to spray this down with water, and maybe you can save yourself the trouble of getting all angry and saying what your mechanic said, because he doesn't know. This works fine, and so we're going to sort of hose this down, and then I'm going to spray it with some hyper dressing diluted. Like I said, I think I diluted 3 to 1 to get a nice satin finish, and I'll only have to do that once every year maybe. So I'm running, I think, about 1,200 psi with my specific orifice nozzle on here. That's all I really need to do. Everything's pretty clean under here, other than a few spots. This is a Griot's bottle, but this is Meguiar's hyper dressing diluted. And one of the other things I always do is I always hit this sort of trim piece with the hyper dressing, and then I don't really have to treat it with anything else. This stuff does really, really well. The other cool thing about this is once you're done, I like to do this, you know, before I detail the car, because I don't want to get this crap all over the paint. But even if I've done it a few times where I've gotten it on the paint and it really doesn't matter. This stuff dries on its own. So that's the great part about this, is that I don't have to follow with anything. You could if you wanted to, and I usually will, like a few days afterwards, I'll follow. you know, or maybe later today, I'll follow this with, you know, just a towel to, if there is any sort of uneven spots, because I didn't spray it evenly. So that's it. That's it. I don't do the top ever. So that's my engine bay regimen. The only other thing you might need to add if your engine bay is dirty or not as clean as this new car is you may want to use some, I use Griot's engine cleaner, and you might have to agitate a few spots. So that's it. Engine bay clean. So I'll just close up the hood and let it dry on its own. No harm, clean engine bay. Anyway, make sure to check out all the other videos as I continued on the process of dialing this car in. So what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor.